Okay, thank you, Jackie. All right. All right, today I'm going to be covering in recent structures-related design standards revisions to the 2014 Design Standards e-booklet. On August 8th of 2013, last year, we held the training on the release of the 2014 Design Standards e-booklet. The content of the August training will not be repeated today, but it is available online under the Office of Design Training Engineering Academy. The reason I bring that up is twofold. One, we're not going to repeat anything in that training. However, there is an issue with the training video, and if you've tried to pull it up and have not seen any content, the training begins at 31 minutes and 40 seconds into the video. So you'll have to kind of fast forward it through that to get to it. Design standards revisions, they must be released through design bulletins. Contact mailer is the best way to be notified of design standards bulletins, and I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was curious. We have two names for it. One is e-updates, which is actually at the top right corner of each website. You'll have a little button there you can push to sign up for it and register if you're not already registered. But you'll receive a contact mailer email similar to the one shown here when bulletins are released. Okay, design standards revisions are accessible through the main design standards web page adjacent to each year's e-booklet, as shown here. Also, the design standards e-booklet page has been recently streamlined to quickly identify which indexes have been updated by showing the design standards revision column directly adjacent to the index number. All the content that's accessible on the design standards ebook page is the original content that was released with the e-booklet. However, if there is a DSR link adjacent to the number, you can click on that and it'll take you directly to the design standards revision page. Design standards revisions has only the revised contents on that sheet. It may contain revised sheets, revised instructions for design standards, revised data tables, and if it has a revised sheet, it will also contain the borderless DGN for the file that we have updated. Also, the associated bulletin contains critical information on the design standards revisions and also describes the implementation schedule. So it's critical that you read the bulletins that are associated with the design standard revisions. And as currently right now, we only have one design standards revision in the structures office, and they will be listed numerically. So right now you can see it's 1402 for all these rows, but they may be separated once we have more revisions. The structures design bulletins are also available on the structures design website under current bulletins. Any applicable revised drawings must be included in the plans based on the implementation schedules defined within the bulletin. So for more information on how to include them in the plans, see the PPM Volume 2, Sections 3.6.1 and 3.8. You'll also have to include it in the list of revised index drawings in the index on the key sheet. If you only need to include the sheets that have been modified. For example, if there are two sheets in the design standard and only sheet 1 has been revised, you can include sheet 1 of 2 in the plans. Let's take a closer look at the design standards revision page. Precast noise walls had no change to the index drawings. Therefore, we see a no change in NC here under the revised sheets. The only things that were modified for the precast noise walls was the IDS and the data tables. This was to bring it in line with the new changes that were released in the January 2014 Structure Design Guidelines and the Soils and Foundations Handbook. We also have index 5250, which is a new index. Therefore, we have all the components. We have sheets 1 through 10 of the perimeter walls. We have the IDS, the cells, the DGNs. One thing I'd like to mention, on the Design Standards e-booklet page, like I said before, all the content on the page is from the original release. However, we have inserted, when there is a new design standard, we have inserted a row for that new design standard, so it will not be missed, and it will allow the user, or alert the user, there is a new standard, and it's basically a placeholder. The 5250 link does not link you to a drawing. The only thing that's active is the DSR link. All right, taking a closer look at Index 5250 perimeter walls. These are not to be used for noise abatement. They're to be used in accordance with the criteria stated in the Structures Design Bulletin 1403. We'll get to that in a few moments. The surface finish is limited to only what is commercially available in masonry block. Construction of either precast or masonry option is at the sole discretion of the contractor. The wall height is 8 feet, and there are no special designs allowed. Basically, you get what you get. I like to think of it as government cheese. All right, so taking a look at this index, if the internet works properly, I will kind of want to go into the drawing itself and show you a few things. It is? Okay. All right. So basically, there are both options combined into one index. You can see here we have the general notes and the masonry option notes. I'm sorry, the precast option notes and the masonry option notes. Note a couple things about the masonry. We don't have many structures that deal with masonry in our specifications. So the specifications for masonry are contained in specification section 534 and in these general notes. I got to pull the. All right. All the walls will have post caps. So there are a couple of general sheets in the design standard. These post caps are for both precast and masonry options. We have general drainage hole details. And then this is where we get into the precast option. And notice that the precast option is very similar to what we have for our noise walls. Again, these are not to be treated as noise walls. We do not claim them to have noise canceling capabilities. It all lies in the details of the walls, the thicknesses of the panels, etc. So it is very similar, however. We do have typical post details. We also have a low clearance option for locations where there are overhead utilities. Table 1 here is what the contractor will use based on the design wind speed to determine pile lengths and reinforcement sizes. And here we have the auger cast pile details for the typical post and the low clearance options. And we have our special corner post details. And then we go into the masonry option after that. And as you can see in table 2, the contractor, first of all, chooses whether he wants to go precast or masonry, and then he also chooses the design based on the wind speed in the plans. And there are 2 sheets that show the masonry option details. Okay. As always, you need to see the IDS for design assumptions, limitations, and plan content requirements. You need to include the completed data table in the plans, which specifies the texture, the post cap type, coatings, and wind speed and color. And in some cases, there may not be any coatings or color involved. So that's just if it's required for the project. And notice the wind speed is down here in the general notes, and that will tell the contractor which option to build. All right, there was a joint bulletin released, and it's Structures Design Bulletin 1403, and also known as Project Management Bulletin 1401 and Roadway Design Bulletin 1402. This bulletin implements the usage and design policy for perimeter walls, whereas the 1402 bulletin just released the index for the perimeter walls along with some other indexes we'll get to. All right. At the bottom of the design bulletin, it has contacts here for questions regarding the perimeter wall. Please direct questions regarding to the usage criteria and justification for perimeter walls to Mariano Barrios in the Environmental Management Office. And any questions regarding the index drawing itself or structural design issues may be directed to me. All right, looking back here, we have index 21110. This is the only change that was made to 21110 was to sheet 1. Therefore, we have sheet 1 of 2 available under the revised sheets. There were no changes to the instructions or the data table, and we've also provided the DGM. Whoop, I did not mean to click that. All right, taking a closer look at index 21110, the main purpose for this change was to clarify note 1. We've had issues with contractors utilizing the wrong type of silicone sealant, so we needed to clarify, and it was always a requirement. The requirement has not changed, but we need to clarify that it should be the type D silicone sealant. While we were at it, we decided to go ahead and make a few more improvements, and up here where we talk about the dimensions on the joint, this 1/2 inch per manufacturer's recommendation, whichever is greater. The currently approved manufacturer's dimensions are 1/2 inches. We do not want to go any smaller. Also, as with any design standard revision that's an interim to the main book, we will have a description of the changes in the description box in the border. We also noted that we deleted notes 2 and 3. Notes 2 and 3 were already addressed in the specifications, and whenever we find a duplication like that, we'd like to go ahead and clean it up. All right, indexes 21250 and 21251. Notice there aren't any changes to the drawings. There was a minor change to the IDS where we wanted to modify how it's paid for. Throughout history, these types of items were included in the cost of the steel boxes. For some reason, we felt it was necessary that we might want to track these items. However, we've realized that that's not the best way to handle it, so we're going to be including them back in the cost of the box sections themselves. We addressed this when we went into the new standard 21252. We releasing this one is the access door assemblies for the steel boxes. The difference between the access hatches and the access doors: the hatches are in the bottoms of the box where you lift it up. The doors are something you walk through. So we'll notice we have that new standard, and it has the drawings, the IDS, and the cells, and the DGMs. This index was requested by the industry. As I stated before, it's included in the cost of the steel box girders. As always, see the IDS for more information. I just want to make a note here that this is not for use on the ends of straddle pier box sections. Straddle pier box sections are open to the elements environment, and we do not want those elements getting inside the box section. So this is meant for interior diaphragms, steel boxes, etc. The structures detailing manual has guidance on the straddle pier box section details. You want to insert the completed data table into the plans, and of course until the 2015 design standards are effective, you'll want to include the index drawing as well. Note that there is that data table that needs to be filled out. The only items that really go in there are the location of the access door and the height and the width. And by the height and the width, the contractor will have all the other dimensions that's variable in the plans. And the IDS is very clear on what the H and the W term are, so it should be adequately explained in the IDS. That's all of the updates I have for you right now, and I'm open to any questions. Okay. No, okay, the question is, does the heading for the revised index drawings need to be included on the key sheet if there are none applicable or included? The answer is no. If there are no applicable revised index drawings, then you should not have to have that heading there with nothing under it. So, all right.
That's all.
That's it. Thank you.